Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Moving Markets Podcast. It is Friday, December the 5th, 2025. As I am speaking right now, the stock market has been open for about an hour and 10 minutes. I'm doing this podcast way earlier in the day than what I normally do. My plan when I did yesterday's podcast, my plan had been to do this right around the close of the market like I've done for most of this week. Problem is, I ended up scheduling one call later today around the time the market is closing with my accountant for some year-end tax stuff. And then I have a call with a marketing firm that I'm sort of interviewing to help me do a little bit of marketing for safe option strategies. So because of those two things, I'm going to be tied up around the time the market is closing and not able to do the presentation at that time the way I wanted to. So that's why we're doing it right now. So yeah, about an hour and 10 minutes into market trading. Sorry, I'm not getting to the screen that I want. I'm trying to change some things on my screen to make the recording better and probably messing it up more than anything else. But what we're looking at right now is the Dow Jones Industrial Average currently up 175 points. It just jumped to 183. The S&P up 33. The Nasdaq up 145. Good start to the day. All three indexes have been higher. They're all down a little bit. Let's pull up the Dow first, and then we'll take a look at the Nasdaq just on the intraday. And again, this is only an hour and 10 minutes of trading, but you can see the Dow was up there a little bit higher, got over 48,100 briefly. Now it's 48,000, about 30, 31. The Nasdaq, similarly, I know it was up over 200 points just a few minutes ago. And I mean literally just a few minutes ago. And you can see it's gone from that down to, I say only being up 136, but that's still a good day. There's nothing wrong with that in any way, shape, or form. A couple of notable things, or a couple of things that are of certainly more interest to us and our positions. AMD having a very good day, up $4. Almost 2%. Amazon up $1.72, about 0.75%. Waiting for Amazon to kind of break out of. I talked a little bit about this yesterday. Really like to see Amazon sort of break back to the upside. I'm hopeful that within a couple of weeks, and I think there's a good probability of this, more than just a possibility. I think in a couple of weeks we'll see Amazon at least back up here, testing this 240 resistance level again, like it did 4 trading sessions ago. And we'll see this as a little bit of a blip, a little bit of an anomaly, because it's an exponential moving average and there's more weight given to the more recent days. Hopefully in a week, it'll look like this. It'll look like things sort of came down and converged and then bounced up again. Obviously not the big bump up right there, but I think that's what this will probably appear like in a few trading days. I think it's yesterday and the day before. I think for Amazon, they got caught up in that Microsoft story. And I really do believe that's all it was, is they got caught up in that Microsoft story. And I think you're going to see that they're going to be fine. Everything's going to be good as it relates to Amazon. So a couple other things that we follow are DIA, the diamond, the spider Dow Jones Trust ETF, up because it mirrors what the Dow is doing. Marvell having a little bit of bounce after a little bit of profit taking yesterday. I wasn't worried at all about Marvell. And I know we don't, I trade Marvell. I have some Marvell. I know as a company, as like members of the program, you may or may not be in Marvell. I'm in some positions on Marvell. And so I'm watching it, and it's on our watch list, and we'll trade it again for sure. In fact, today's the fact that it jumped up earlier in the session. Marvell was up as high one time as 102. It's come back and it's towards the session low right now, although still having a good day, still up 1.25%. The timing might be right to get into something on Marvell, because I do think they're going to continue up. I think this is a good, strong company. I think they're they operate well. I think their management team is solid. I think there's going to be some better things in store for Marvell. It's hard to want to do a bullish trade when you're at this point. Had it not been for the earnings play, we might have done something bullish, right back here. In fact, we did, and then I forgot about the earnings and we had to, get out of a position. At least we got out with profit, so not too worried about that either. Um, Nvidia down a little bit today. That one's a little bit of a head scratcher, although Nvidia was it had a nice up day yesterday in the midst of some other stocks being down. Wasn't a huge day up, but they had an up day. Nvidia, here, little couple thoughts on Nvidia, because we're of course in collar trades on Nvidia as well as um, wow, something's happening in the market right now. Sorry, I'm distracted. Something's going on right now. The Nasdaq, and then it's early in the trading day. This could be nothing more than day traders taking a little bit of profit. But literally just a few seconds ago, Marvell was up about $1.30, $1.40, and now it's only up 77 cents. That's just suddenly taken a swing in the wrong direction. Nvidia was down about 70 cents. Now it's down about $1.23. Those aren't big moves. Those aren't horrible moves. Those aren't things to be overly concerned about, but it's just kind of weird. And it might just be the normal fluctuations that happen early in the trading session, so I'm not going to get too worked up about it, but I'm watching it. Marvell only up 77 cents now, and like I said, it was up $1.30, $1.40 just a few minutes ago when I started this presentation. So we'll see if it's just a little intraday move and nothing more than that, and see if the Nasdaq gets moving back in an upward direction. Okay, back to what I was talking about. Some thoughts on Nvidia, and I promise I won't get distracted this time. I in my opinion, Nvidia should be up here testing and pushing past its all-time highs. There's a number of reasons why it's not. There are some concerns about the AI in general and what's happening with companies that are heavily investing or heavily a part of AI. There's certainly some concern about these companies' valuations. Nvidia was actually a little bit ahead. This was the big sell-off that everybody got caught up in the Nasdaq. Nvidia was already trending down for a full week and a half prior to that. So, they got beat up. They came down and tested a pretty strong level of support. They've bounced off of that. That support level held pretty good. They bounced up. They've been steadily trending in an upward direction, but you might not see Nvidia give a technical crossover right away. I think it will eventually. I think when it does, you'll get a little bit of resistance test at 190, and then I think it'll push up to 210 relatively quickly. Now, this is barring some major news event, something kind of big that might sort of, spur it a little bit quicker than what I'm thinking. My personal thought is it's probably going to take about another 3 to 4 trading sessions. I think you'll see some back and forth. We might finish on a positive side today, might finish down low, but I think you could see if this area right here that I'm drawing on represented where we're at right here in the last 4 days of trading, which is a very tight range. I think you could see three, 2, 3 more days of this. I think when the Fed makes their announcement next week, Wednesday, on rate cuts, and I do believe the Fed is going to give us a rate cut. I'm very much in this camp. I won't get distracted here. I'll go back to Nvidia. I'm very much in this camp of the this morning it was 87%. Now it's 87.2%. It's changed fractionally. I'm very much in this camp of the 87% that we've got a rate cut coming. I think it would be not just political suicide. I think if there's not a rate cut, I think Trump will push very hard to fire Powell. In fact, I think he will fire Jerome Powell. He will say that he's doing it with cause. He will do it and claim that Powell has been derelict in his duty, and then it'll get challenged in the court, and Powell will be gone in May anyways. If that happens, I hope it doesn't, but if that happens, maybe Powell will see the writing on the wall and say, look, whether I win a lawsuit against him or not, I'm leaving in May anyway, and maybe Powell will step away, although it would be a little bit of a disgraceful move for him. We'll see. Anyways, back to Nvidia. Unless we don't get a rate cut on Wednesday, and that's why I said I'm firmly in that camp that we will. Unless we don't, I think by Wednesday at the latest, you'll get these technical crossovers, and then it'll be a short-lived test of 190, and then a push up through there and a pretty quick jump up to 210. So as that relates to our trades, both our collar trade that we have on Nvidia as well as our spread trade on Nvidia, we're going to be looking really good. I mean, we're going to be like in really good shape. I thought I had updated this before I started this podcast, so let me quickly. I know I did on our spreads. Let me quickly update this and we'll come back to it in a second. But on our spread trade, Nvidia is still down. It's still down over 30%, but it wouldn't take much of a move for Nvidia to come back up and come back up pretty strong. We could be profitable in this one really, really fast. Look how fast Palantir turned around. Very short time ago, Palantir, this was down over $2,000 in this portfolio, and this was down, I think a little bit more than either of these, that down in the 38, 39% down. Maybe I think at one time it might have gone 40% down. Look at how fast it's turned around. That was just a week or two, a week and a half ago. And look how dramatically that has changed where we're at year to date. I mean, this just jumped with the turnaround of Nvidia, with the turnaround of SPY, and with the turnaround of AMD, which only got down a little bit, but has come roaring back and is profitable now. So we're in really fantastic shape. Almost up 20% on SPY. Probably, in fact, I'm not going to say probably. If you're at or close to 20% on SPY, close it out. I'm going to close this right now. I'm going to refresh this one more time, see where it's at, and then I'm going to go into my actual portfolio and close out the SPY trade. That is close enough to 20% that I'm going to take it. I'm not going to complain, even if I refresh this and it's a little bit below that. I'm going to take the win. I'm going to jump out of this one. 19.19, I'll take it. I'm going to call that a closing price. I'll go into my portfolio and see where it actually closes. So this closed on we didn't add a new short call after that, and today is the 4th. So there we go. Closed out trade on SPY, looking fantastic there. And yeah, nice turnaround on that one for almost a 20% gain. And I like, even though with you look at our open trades, two of the four of them are in negative territory. It's just not bothering me at all. Not going to bother me at all. It's really not a stressful thing because I really believe Amazon and Nvidia are going to come back, and I think they're both going to come back strong. So we're in good shape there. We switch back over here to the collar trade. You can see that we're profitable in Nvidia, and that's only going to go up. In fact, I think there's a good chance. Here's what I'm leaning towards, and I'll probably do this on Monday or Tuesday. What I'm leaning towards is not rolling these short calls out, but maybe selling 100 shares of Nvidia and buying to close these short calls. And I would do that as soon as we get this technical crossover on Nvidia. I think if we cross over technically, I think we're going to have another run like this. And I think we're going to be back right up to 210 again in very, very short order. So I'm going to be prepared to kind of jump and pounce when we get that technical crossover on Nvidia. We're close on the RSI. The MACD is right there about to cross over. And the 5 and 20 day moving average, it only take a couple of up days in a row, and Nvidia could be crossed over into positive territory on those indicators. So big time technical trading right now. I know I'm always looking at fundamentals, but I'm trading big time on the technicals. One other thing I wanted to talk about. So we got the PCE numbers today. They didn't come out until 8 o'clock my time, 10 o'clock Eastern time. And they're delayed numbers, both in the sense that they came out later in the day. Usually these are numbers that break like at 6:30 in the morning, my time, 8:30 on the East Coast. But they're delayed in the sense of these are only September's numbers, not we should be getting November's numbers right now. October's numbers are going to be screwed up because the government was shut down for the entirety of October. And that's going to, I think whatever number comes out for October, I think the market's going to react to it, but very, very short-lived because you have to kind of blow it off. You have to kind of ignore it. It's going to be an anomaly because of the shutdown, and you're going to have to wait and look. Even November's numbers are going to be off a little bit. But the good news here is that based on where the consensus estimate was, month over month, consumption down a little bit, income in line. The PCE core month over month, 0.1% better than expected, and year over year, 0.1% higher, but it's that monthly one that people were kind of focused on. They're seeing this as good news. And more important than just seeing it as a good report, they're seeing it as a confirmation, at least a little bit of a confirmation that the Fed should cut rates. So that's why you've got, even though it's a small change, that's why you've got the Fed fund futures up 0.2% from where it was. I think as we get closer to Wednesday of next week, I actually think this will grow and move. I think this will move closer to a 92 to 94%, somewhere in there. I think by the time we get to Wednesday, I would be surprised if we get to Wednesday and we don't see this sitting at about 93, 94. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So looking good just across the board. Everything we've got going on. I know a couple of the recent spread trades not looking spectacular, but everything else looking good. And I'm not worried even a little bit about those spread trades. So I think just top to bottom, we're in good shape. We're going to end this year on such a high note and go into next year with such momentum. I'm excited about it. All right, I'm going to wrap up right there. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And I'll be back with new trades, both for the triple play as well as for the main spread trades. I'll be back with that on Monday. And in the meantime, have a great rest of your day today. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.